Hey everyone, I'm Adam with Threefold, and today I'm really excited to be talking about the Deity Theos microphone set. It's wireless, it's compact, it's powerful. Let's get into it. The features at a glance, there is a lot going on. One of the biggest parts of this is that you have different frequency selections. You get built-in recording, and there's an asterisk here. We're gonna talk about the built-in recording later. Built-in time code. You have wireless timecode syncing. That's with the Citus Audio app. Plus, you can adjust your power for transmission and a lot of other stuff too. Let's take a look at what's actually in this case. That could be the thumbnail, which, by the way, shout out guys. The hard case is awesome. Thank you so much. This is a great way to store these packs. I absolutely love that. As you have seen already, 2 transmitters and 1 receiver. These are metal. They've got a nice heft to them. I'm not worried about damaging these. Something I love about this is that there is no external mute button. Thank you. There is no way for somebody on set to say, oh, I'm just gonna sit down and accidentally press the mute button and cause panic in the audio department midway through a scene. That's not gonna happen here. You have an A output and a B output on the top of that receiver. This lets you do different mixes on each of the transmitters. You have a headphone output for monitoring your mix, and you have a microphone input. Obviously, that's because it's a transmitter. You're gonna need to put something into it. On the inside of each of these, you have an SD card slot. That is for putting in a micro SD card to record onto. You get all of these different colorful antennae. The color codes are actually really nice because the blue are for the 900 megahertz range, the yellow are for the 600 megahertz range, and that leaves us with red for your 500 megahertz range. And you can tell based off of the height that the actual antennae are, which is pretty cool that they included so many options with it. In a lot of other situations, you're stuck within a fixed antenna and you're not going to be changing it out. So if you damage it, you're either putting on your own antenna or you're left to deal with the consequences of it and send it in for repair. That makes it a lot more compact and portable, and I feel a lot safer bringing it around. In the bottom of the case, you have different storage options for cables, different accessories and batteries. You're gonna get 6 batteries. That's 1 set of batteries for each of the transmitters and receivers. You will get a USB-C cable and a USB-C to USB-A adapter. Microphones are included, which is a very good thing because DD microphones sound really good. At the end of the day, of course, these still sound like lavaliers. That being said, they sound like very good lavalier microphones. You get an XLR to 3.5 millimeter jack, of course that's TRS, and you get a TRS 3.5 to 3.5 springy coiled cable, a cold shoe clip that goes on the bottom of the plate so that you can mount your receiver on a camera. Cool thing about this plate is that it has a 1/4 inch metal. It's Danny, can you bring me a flat screwdriver, please? Yeah. I just noticed something about this. We're gonna learn today. Oh, look at that, it does. Cool. It has a 3/8 to 1/4 inch adapter built into it. And I never noticed that until right now. So you can use this with a 3/8 thread or a 1/4 20 thread. That is really slick. The next big item is battery life. And these have AA's. So what I'm going to tell you is that the battery life on these is long. The other part of that is that these are hot swappable. So if you plug in a USB-C power supply, you can take out the batteries and these will keep running. So even if they do run out of batteries, or if you notice in the Citus app that suddenly your battery's getting low, you can just plug in a temporary USB-C power supply, switch out your batteries, and keep rolling. That's huge, especially if you have a timecode synced up, because then you don't have to worry about resyncing it. Now on these units, you have an option for 10 milliwatt, 25 milliwatt, and 50 milliwatt power selections. You also have the option to choose your frequency. And of course, both of those are going to play an impact in what your total transmission range can be. Now, in addition to that, you have to worry about external frequencies and how much those are going to be impeding your bandwidth. That's a real problem. 3 weeks ago, I was working a gig with somebody who had all of their wireless stuff set up, and then the instant that the people started flooding into the stadium, his RF band got overwhelmed. And if he would have been able to change his frequency, he wouldn't have had to waste 2 hours and run hardwired cables to everything that he had already done wirelessly, both live and film production environments. You oftentimes only get one chance, and you have very little time to prep for that in most situations. I think a lot of us know what it's like to work under that pressure. Yeah, that's a lot of technical mumbo jumbo, but the real question that we're all wondering is, what's the range like on these? Let's find out, but this range test is going to be a little different. We're going to be doing a couple of different tests for each frequency. We're going to be doing one at 10 milliwatt, and then we're going to be doing a test at 50 milliwatt. We're going to do this for the 500 megahertz range, we're going to do this for the 600 megahertz range, and we're going to do this for the 900 megahertz range. In total, that's going to be 6 tests, and if I'm feeling generous, we'll do 9 tests. We'll find out what future Atom is like. It's cold out here in North Dakota, and I'm sure none of us want to be out there longer than we have to be. But without further ado, let's get out there. We are here. The test we are doing right now is 50 milliwatts, and this is at 902 megahertz. We're gonna go and see how far we can get. We're gonna do it a bunch of times, so we're gonna get started. Kamika's were about right there. We are soon approaching the Hollyland Lark 150 territory, as well as the Rode Wireless Go territory, and we are about to pass. Oh, good thing I have my yak tracks on. It's getting icy out here. All right, so we have officially passed the Hollyland Larks, and we're still going strong. Oh, and so right here we're starting to cut out. We are beyond the safety range here. This is definitely the furthest we've heard in one of these tests. I'm really impressed by this. I'm still going. Either I might be getting pranked. I'm gonna call.
Clear as day right now.
Oh my gosh.
Come on back.
I'm pretty astonished here. I'm not gonna lie.
Thanks for not lying during our review.
I try not to.
Is this the first time you had to call your cameraman?
Yeah, actually it is.
Well, I'll see you back at base.
All right, so where we are, right here, this is the safest distance that I would consider using these with. Anything beyond this is going to be inconsistent, and you can't count on the results, so I would count that out of the mix. We're gonna bump it down to 10 milliwatt. It's the lowest power setting you can get on here that doesn't have 3 letters and say off. So this is just about right where the Hollyland's also cut out. Going roughly in half to roughly in half. Really impressive. This next test I'll do 10 milliwatt, 650. Look at all the animals in the zoo. They're looking at me, they're looking at you. This is about the furthest we can go. I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna switch it to 50 milliwatt and see how far we can go. Oh, but we don't get 50. This is our marker then for 653 megahertz at 20 milliwatt. We're gonna switch to 500 megahertz. 10 milliwatt at 550 gets us further than any 10 milliwatt of any other range. I'm gonna switch it to 20, see how far we get before we cut out at line of sight. This 25 milliwatts is a little bit further than 20 milliwatts at 650. So we're gonna do the 50 milliwatt test and see how far we get. Something that I will say is that when we were doing the test with, we started losing it right here, really. 500 megahertz is shortest range just because it's the widest band. And that's what the range is like. One of the next big ticket items that everybody's talking about with these is of course the fact that the transmitters have built-in recorders, which is crazy. As I said, there was an asterisk earlier. The downside to this is that in the United States, you cannot record and transmit at the same time, which is a killer for me. From what I understand, this is due to a patent, and hopefully one day that will not be a problem anymore. I would love that feature because it would be an incredible backup to if a wireless transmission were to suddenly fail, have a backup of that file, or to be able to monitor what I'm hearing and rely on the original recording from the field pack itself. To be able to have that in these packs that have a tremendous range would be monumental. I really wish that you could record and transmit at the same time. But they're still really nice receivers. I want to take a look at the Citus audio app. This is something that we've done a dive into before, but for your sake, I figured we could dive into it one more time, see what you might have missed. The Citus audio app lets us configure the device in different ways. There you have our timecode slate, which is offline. That's the Deity TC-SL1, the slate. We've done a review on that. You can watch that later if you feel like it, I guess. So you get a lot of options in the app. You can directly pair and sync a transmitter to its receivers. Let's go to that option. We'll select our channel configuration mode here. We're at the 900 megahertz frequency right now. We'll confirm that. You can select your channel configuration, so if I wanted to jump down to the 500 range, the 600 range, or stick to the 900 range, and that will then apply that to the devices behind us. This device is now at 920.8, which matches up with the app. You can see that all three of our units are synced up here. We can mute each unit from here. We can also go in and sync our different frequencies, switching this to a lower range. Now I've set the transmitter A to 903.8 megahertz. The receiver has now latched onto that setting as well, so it makes pairing really easy. You can instantaneously sync your timecode across all of the devices. So we're synchronizing our devices. There we go. Both of our transmitters are now synced up. So if I were to go into recording mode versus transmitting directly, now they would match our timecode for our other devices. In our case, our TC-SL1, which then gets pushed out to the rest of the devices that we're using. That's our different cameras and our different audio recorder. Now, something else that I like that I would like to see expanded on a little bit more is that you can do playback from your phone. You cannot listen to the files directly from your Citus audio device. However, you can go into file management and it will show you a list of files that have been recorded. You can then go and play the file back, which I'll demonstrate now, and you'll see that this will go into playback mode, just like that. You also get a gain adjustment option on each device, and you can go in and change other device settings directly from your phone. That just saves you some time from scrubbing around in the menu of the actual device. Additionally, it lets you see what the levels being recorded on the individual devices are at any given time. In Citus Link, you can also go through and do firmware upgrades, which is what I am doing now. I am pushing out version 1.2 to the receiver. So we're going to go ahead and upgrade that. And this is a pretty easy process. Recording a firmware update. Oh, here it goes. It's rebooting. That's how easy updating the firmware was. Is it going to reconnect? There it is. That's about as easy as it gets to update a device firmware. Finally, I want to take a look at little options we might have forgotten to cover or just not gone over in the actual units. On the transmitter side, you have the option to adjust your gain, and you also have the option to adjust your input level. You have a 3-volt microphone level, a 5-volt microphone level, and then a line voltage input. You get the option to sync a time code. You can record on here, obviously. You can change your record mode on the actual transmitter from 24-bit to 32-bit float, which is really nice because if you don't want to worry about your gain, or if you have somebody that likes to not tell you that they're going to position their microphone a little differently, you don't have to worry about remixing it. You have a low cut filter. You have a device ID. You can change your file naming structure. You can take a look at files for playback. I told you, this is like one of the old school MP3 players. I love it. You can turn off your LED. You can enable or disable the earpiece monitoring on these. You can change your battery type. You can connect to Bluetooth. Can adjust your screen settings. You have the option for 3 of your 4 buttons to be used as hotkeys, of course, because when you press and hold this button, it turns the unit off and on. So that one's already assigned to a hotkey. You just can't change it. These look great, they sound great, they have a good range, and at the end of the day, these are now my go-to wireless units because they are so versatile. Thanks so much for watching. We have a lot of exciting content coming down the pipeline. Be sure to stick around because at the end of the video, we'll be giving you a little bit of a sneak peek at that. And if nobody's told it to you yet today, I love you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Look at all the animals in the zoo. They're looking at me. They're looking at you. There's a giraffe, but he doesn't live over here. But camels do, cause they're originally from North America. Camels do. Camels do. Camels do. They're looking at me. They're looking at you. There's a song about camels.